So my current roles at Imperial, I'm a clinical academic. So that involves being a clinician, and my interest is kidney disease, and I look after patients with all sorts of kidney disease, but have a particular interest in a disease called lupus and how it affects the kidney.
So I first started here doing my general medical training in 1992. It was around the time in the very early 90s of the HIV epidemic really becoming much more obvious, and patients were presenting with symptoms and disease. I was lucky enough to have a professor who was very supportive, and I applied for a Medical Research Council training fellowship to do a PhD. From that PhD, I then went to carry on doing really clinical trials.
I'm a non-clinical scientist, originally working in the biochemical field, but now biomedicine. And I'm particularly interested in translational efforts that will help in nervous system regeneration.
I'm a clinical lecturer in diabetes and endocrinology within the Department of Medicine, and I started at Imperial back in 2006 as an academic clinical fellow.
I came to Imperial really because I was a clinician working at the Hammersmith Hospital, and I was training as an infectious diseases doctor, and at that time infectious diseases was a completely academic specialty. You weren't going to get anywhere without the PhD. I was mentored and supervised by somebody who was incredibly supportive and got me working on an entirely kind of new field for his lab, which was gram-positive bacterial infections. And that was a fascinating area. I got my PhD and I stayed in research after that because I found I really enjoyed it.
One of the biggest clinical trials I've done is a study called Spartak, which looked at giving people treatment when they'd only just become infected. At the moment, we defer treatment until there's the signs of immune deterioration. And not only was it important scientifically, but it was a trial that was done in 7 different countries, including several in Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Uganda. And so it involved enormous collaboration, of course, a lot of organisation, but a wonderful opportunity with brilliant people. I mean, I think Imperial, the name of working at Imperial, always carries a lot of kudos whenever one applies for grants and is asked to present at meetings. So just by being part of this institution, one is supported.
In recent years, bringing together this controlled trial has been a huge success. So we started with my colleagues in the Imperial Lupus Centre an innovative form of treatment for lupus nephritis, and we then wrote and got funding for £1.7 million of funding from Arthritis Research UK for the trial to go ahead. It's been a huge amount of work bringing together a collaborative group within the EU, UK and the USA. We've persuaded Roche to fund the drug globally. It's been a really enormous piece of work that I'm very proud of, bringing together this collaborative group, and I think the trial will be very exciting.
So I felt very privileged in 2011 to be awarded a Rector's Medal for Outstanding Innovation in Teaching in recognition of this work that I'd done. And then last year the Student Union started a Student Academic Choice Award, and they gave me an award for Best Innovation, which was lovely. You know, to be recognised by the students is great.
And also another game changer for me was a significant grant that I got back in 2001 from DARPA, so that's the Defence Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is a sort of the blue skies agency or venture capital arm of the US Department of Defence. And they funded sort of slightly high risk research that would not ever normally be funded, and allows investigators to explore certain avenues of research. For me, it was in the area of biodefence in terms of developing therapeutics against bacterial toxins. And that kind of gave me enough money to start up my group, develop new collaborations, and also make a lot of new collaborations, which were pretty, were great fun at the time.
I feel the world has very much changed as a sort of woman who's juggled having children and an academic career now than it was 20 years ago when I embarked upon it, where there weren't very many women clinical academics then, and there certainly weren't very many clinical academics who wanted to do it part-time and have children.
I started a long time ago, and when I started, when I was a registrar in renal medicine, there were no women consultants in England in renal medicine, let alone academics to have as role models. So it was quite a macho world I went into.
The real difficulty is managing work-life balance, ensuring that clinically you're up to scratch and that you're competent, but at the same time keeping your research going, because if you want to do high-end, world-class research, you need to be working incredibly hard at it. And I'm under no illusion that basically I've got 3 full-time jobs. I'm a mum to 3, I'm a clinician in training, and I'm also trying to carve a career as a scientist.
If you want to have children, they absolutely should, and they shouldn't be putting it off just because it's the wrong bit of their career. Those are just their personal decisions, and the career will follow. And I think the organisation is getting more used to the fact that people have, you know, plateaus and peaks.
When I had my first child, I was just at the end of one of my fellowships and I was going on maternity leave, and at the very last minute, the day before I went on maternity leave, I was told, actually, there's been a mistake. There isn't any money for you to have maternity pay unless you use up your fellowship. And I actually had to write a scientific justification for why I had to extend my fellowship. The great news is that nowadays fellowships like that are extended almost automatically if a woman goes on maternity leave.
I actually chose my PhD supervisor not just because I really liked him, Professor Av Mitchison, who was then at the ICRF Tumour Immunology Unit, not just because I liked science, which I did, but because the first thing he said to me when he met me was a PhD is a great time to have your children, which nobody was saying then. And in 2001 I was ill, but that actually was an opportunity because it allowed me to stand back. I became a part-time academic, which I don't think had ever happened in the Department of Medicine before, and they facilitated that. And it was fantastic. It allowed me to step back, reorganise my direction of travel in terms of research, and led to a much more productive era.
So I feel really grateful to my supervisors and Imperial as a whole for supporting me through my PhD and 3 maternity leaves. I've got my lectureship. My PhD produced some fantastic research which gave me a national and an international stage to present my work on. And I've sent all 3 of my children to the nursery at Hammersmith Hospital, which is actually run by the Trust, but Imperial College have got a number of specified places there where we can benefit from quite substantially subsidised places. And my kids have all been absolutely adored and nourished and nurtured there. So I've been really happy with the childcare provision. Because I've shown some interest in Athena SWAN, and because I have been involved in my departmental academic opportunity committee, it gave me the opportunity to work at faculty level as well. So I am now also officially the Faculty of Medicine Athena SWAN coordinator, and in that role I've met a huge number of academics from across the faculty and really fed into a wonderful community at Imperial who are working really hard towards making it a better place to work and a more supportive place, particularly for women, but really for everybody to pursue a rewarding career within the setting of a decent work-life balance.
I think the strength of mentoring has grown. I took a role in education as well, leading academic foundation, and in fact leading the foundation school for 2 years. And Professor Jenny Hyam was enormously supportive in a very constructive way. So although it took me a very long time to get from senior lecturer to reader, it's been really quite quick since then.
I've benefited myself from a female academic development centre that was started in, I think, 2007. And more recently in an academic development centre. So there's a lot of effort in the college and support available for us to help us to realise our potential. But my main contribution in the area of support has probably been founding the Academic Opportunities Committee 2 years ago. And as a result of that, we've catalysed quite a lot of development in the department so that we now have a mentoring scheme for all staff and PhD students.
So some of the things that we're interested in at faculty level and as Athena SWAN coordinators are mentoring, the championing of women, ensuring that people are aware of the promotions processes, the childcare support, but all of the sorts of things that you can imagine that will feed into making it easier for you to concentrate on your job as a scientist. That's what we're here to help with from Athena SWAN point of view. And I would add that a lot of the initiatives that have come out of it, for example, improving departmental communications, have meant a better working life for everybody. It's not just about female career progression.
I was quite impressed when I first moved over to hear about an attitude which is, what can we do to help you to, for example, publish your papers, whatever it may be. What can we do to help you do that? So it means that there's no excuse really for not being outstanding in whatever that area is, because the support is there for you if you need it.